This episode is brought to you by United Airlines. When you want to make the most of your vacation, book with United. They're an airline that cares about your travels as much as you do. United is transforming the flying experience with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to help fit everyone's bag. And with their app, you can skip the bag check line, get live updates, and more. Change the way you fly. Book your next trip today at united.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
The Dental Download podcast is your source for insight from conversations with fellow dentists, specialists, and leaders in the industry. With new episodes every Monday morning, I'm your host, Dr. Haley. Let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Dental Download podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Haley, and this is going to be a fun episode. It's a solo episode, and it's really just meant to help you get to know me a little bit better and give you some ideas of different self-care practices or little things you can do to make your life a little bit more fun. So this is a TikTok trend, and it is called the dopamine menu. And basically what that means is little things you can do ranging from super small to maybe bigger, more time-intensive things that make you happy. It's as simple as that. Things that make you happy, therefore helping your mental health and your well-being. And the general idea is definitely the trend is for things that will get you off of your devices. That way you're spending more time being present, more time maybe with nature, but that's going to depend like person to person what your own, unique dopamine menu is. So that's the fun little trend we'll be doing this week. I love to do a little bit more personal, cute, cozy episodes in the fall sometimes because fall is my favorite season. And we'll be breaking down each of the different things on my menu. Someone on TikTok even broke it into, it's so funny, appetizers, sides, entrees, and specials because they're really leaning into that menu theme. So I broke down all of my things into appetizers, sides, entrees, and specials. And what that's going to mean is appetizers are things you can do in 10 minutes or less that will boost your mood, make you feel a little bit better. Sides, in my mind, is more like habit stacking or pairings that you can do while you're doing one of the other things. Entrees, those are going to be the more time-intensive ones. And then specials are, as you could imagine, like special occasions only. So it's not something you're just going to willy-nilly go jet off to Europe, but maybe traveling, for example, is on there for me. So basically, this is a well-being focused episode, and I hope it will give you ideas of things that you can add into your own life or reframe your perspective a little bit more towards self-care and taking care of yourself a little bit more fun. Obviously, these things are going to be different for every person, but that's what I think is cool about it because it will give you an opportunity to get to know me a little bit more, and maybe if you're a new listener. And before we do that, since it is a solo episode, we're still going to do our life update, motivator this week, what I learned, but we're not going to do a recommendation of the week because this whole episode is basically recommendations. So you'll be well set with recommendations this week. Life update, drum roll please, because this is very, very exciting news. If you've been listening in week to week, we have made a decision that we are going to build that house I was talking about. We are building our first home that we will own together, and it's so surreal, so exciting. At first, right before we were going to go ahead and, put some money down and make our commitment, sign contracts and things, I was a little bit nervous, but mostly excited. But definitely those scared feelings were there. But yesterday, Friday, I officially went and gave them the check and we signed the contract and everything. So at that point, it was real. It's official. No backing out now. I mean, I guess you just lose a lot of money, but it's happening. So we're super excited, and I can definitely share more about that process as we go. If anyone has specific questions or is interested to know more about it, send me a message on Instagram. That way I know what type of questions people have about that and how it all works. That way I could maybe put together an episode at some point. My motivator this week, kind of spinning off of the house thing, but once again, it's probably mostly my savings goals are motivating me, and that helps me stay focused on, again, our goals of building this house. Like, we're saving a bunch of money. Not that we're going to see it necessarily grow in the stock market or something, but over these next months of building, which can literally be a year and a half because we're not starting to break ground on the project for a little while, we're saving a lot of money. And that's really motivating me because I'm thinking about all the things that we can put into this home to make it our own, and all of those cost money. And it's exciting to daydream about all this stuff and plan out all these perspective finishes and windows and floors and counters, but they cost a lot of money. So that's what's keeping me focused on my financial goals, not overspending, trying to be really focused at work. But the other motivator I would say is I truly, truly do love going to work. And I've talked about this before. Of course, Sunday, you're sitting around with your family at home, you're having fun on the weekends, and the idea of going into work tomorrow can seem a little bit daunting. I don't know if that ever goes away, even when you do love your job. But as soon as I get there on Monday and I get back into the swing of things, I remember just how much I love it there. And I love what I get to do every day. I love my team. And of course, that keeps me motivated and reinvigorated to start out every single day strong. And what I learned this week.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This wasn't from any specific conversation with anyone or really prompted by anything specific. It just kind of popped into my head today, and I felt like it could be a good thing to talk about for this segment. Just a reminder that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. So I guess this is what prompted it, but I was talking to one of my dental school classmates. You know, we're all working now, or some people are in residency, whatever. And we were talking, and she was saying how, oh my gosh, I wonder who's going to be the first person to buy a practice. Are they going to do a startup? Are they going to do an acquisition? But like, who's going to be the first owner in our class? And we were both throwing out a couple of names, like could be this person, could be that person. They've always been so business motivated. We all know they want to own a practice, whatever. And it made me think that I've had people in the past say that they would have thought of me as an addition to maybe those other classmates because I have this podcast, and because when I do go into something, I go all in and I work really hard at it, and that's great. And if I decided to own a practice, it would be the same thing. I would be all consumed with it, kind of like I'm going to be all consumed with this house build and our wedding over the next couple of years. But just because I could in theory, go out and get a practice loan and buy a practice or start something up if I really wanted to. Doesn't mean that necessarily I should or that it's right for me. And that is just kind of my reminder for this, is to have self-reflection and understand where your goals and your values and your passions lie. Because as much as maybe certain elements of practice ownership I would like, I know that all-encompassing sole ownership is definitely not right for me anytime soon, anytime now, or anytime when I have young children. It's just not going to align with my goals. However, that's not to say that in the future I wouldn't have ownership in a different capacity, like a partnership. But I thought this could be a good lesson or thought to share, that just because you can doesn't mean you should, because that can apply if you're earlier in your life planning stages. For example, even deciding if you want to do dentistry in the first place. Just because growing up, people always told you, like you could be a great doctor, maybe you're seen as really intelligent or different things like that. But just because you could be a dentist doesn't necessarily always mean you should, if it doesn't align with how you want your life to look, or if you're not passionate about it. If you're not passionate about something, or it doesn't support the life that you want, then it's not the right thing for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. That just means you need to do some more searching and find the right thing, rather than being complacent in something that you don't like, because eventually you will be resentful of that job or that place, whatever it may be. Like maybe you're in your job search process, or you're deciding between residency or going into working, and just because you got accepted to a GPR, but you're not really excited about it and you don't really know why you're even doing it, then maybe you shouldn't. It's really easy to just take the path of least resistance, which obviously, for my example of buying a practice is certainly not the least resistance path. The associateship is the least resistance path, but in my case, that's the one that makes the most sense for me right now. But just saying, just because something's the path of least resistance does not mean that it's right for you. So really thinking about what you want in life and making sure that you're taking steps every day, little by little, to achieve those goals. And that kind of transitions nicely into the topic of this episode, because taking care of yourself is the only way that you're going to create that longevity to show up to work, whatever your type of work is going to be, and give it your all while you're there, and being able to come home and find different ways that you like to reset and ways that you can help yourself feel happy or feel less down if you're in more of a tough day, something like that. But before we get into the dopamine menu, I want to have a word from our sponsor. Raise your hand if you've been putting off getting disability insurance. Jim Katchmar from Doctors Disability Specialists can help educate you about your options. I have personally worked with Jim to ensure that my strategy is appropriate for me. He took the time to explain key terms and make me feel really good about my decision. If I were to describe Jim in a few words, I would use knowledgeable, kind, and collaborative. Jim can be reached via email at james.katchmar@ddsteam.net, or you can call him at 207-671-2216. His website is www.ddsteam.net/team/Jim-Katchmar. Reach out for a no-obligation complimentary consultation today. No compensation was paid to this client for their testimonial. Their experience may not represent the experience of others nor predict future results. Thank you again to Doctors Disability Specialists for working with me on this episode. Okay, the promised topic of this week's episode. As I mentioned in the intro, I'm going to be breaking it down into appetizers, sides, entrees, and specials. But really, that's just quick things, pairings, and maybe more time-intensive things. And then we'll finish with the specials, the things you're just not going to be able to afford to realistically do on a regular basis. But every once in a while, having that booked and looking forward to it really can be helpful. So appetizers. everyone's probably thinking of this. What's a quick thing you can do to make yourself feel better? That is unfortunately a quick cleanup, a quick tidy of one space in your house. If that's, you've had a giant pile of laundry sitting in your room and you haven't folded it in a week, just folding that laundry, you're going to feel better. Or your bathroom counter is just a mess. Just like tackling one thing, or the kitchen counter or the dishes, one task, and you're going to start to feel a lot better. For me, another thing is if, let's say I have a day off and I don't have a lot going on, which really rarely happens with the podcast and YouTube and the wedding and the house and all these things. If I have a day off, I'm very rarely sitting around the whole day. I have plenty of things I could pick from to keep myself busy. But let's say you have one of those days where you're really just lounging around more casually. For me, at least, I can do that for a little bit, and then I start to feel just a little icky, and I'm over it. So for me, that means just getting dressed, getting myself together a little bit. And again, that doesn't take very much time, and I don't need to be putting on a fancy outfit or even anything uncomfortable. Like, you can change from your pajamas into like a matching lounging set, just something a little bit more intentional, and wash your face, brush your hair, like get yourself together, and you'll probably, again, feel a lot better. I've talked about this in other episodes. You're probably sick of hearing it, but I love all the features of my Hatch alarm clock, and that kind of goes with morning routines and things that are a little bit more long-winded, and those are in the entrees section. But a quick, easy thing is a nice alarm clock, morning, night routine device. Doesn't have to be Hatch. Could be something more affordable if that's more in your wheelhouse, but I do love my Hatch. The next thing is, if I'm feeling, again, a little down, you probably sometimes, especially if you're feeling maybe like a headache, a little icky, you probably didn't have enough water. Maybe you didn't eat the most nutritious things today. So get a big glass or bottle of water, and then I either will eat one of my favorite foods, but just try to pair it with other nutrients. So pasta is my favorite food by far. So I'll do a really easy pasta. I get this frozen one from Trader Joe's, and then I'll pair it with a protein that I have on hand. A lot of times that's a frozen salmon that I put in the air fryer, and it's delicious. That's like my favorite meal that I make at home, because it's just so easy, and I have it at least once a week. So that's something super quick that fuels my body well. And, in an ideal world, I'd be having some vegetables with it too, but at least the protein is key for feeling fuller longer. And then if it's a different time of day and pasta doesn't really make sense, my other favorite thing to kind of treat myself and snack on is fruit. I love fruit. So I'll do oatmeal with fruit on top, and that's always delicious. And either of those foods, if I'm just not having a good day, will make me feel better. The next quick thing is, if I'm sitting around similarly, like having a chill day, but it gets to the point where it feels too chill and you're just not having it anymore, I will get up, get out of that space. If it's the living room, if it's the bedroom, again, probably get changed into more of an intentional outfit and walk out the door and go for a quick walk if I can. If the weather's too gross, I'll try to just go to a different area of the house, or again, pick up a little task around the house, like a quick clean that's going to get my body moving. And in the most ideal world, you would also do some stretching. And I think you'll notice that you feel more rejuvenated. We've got some new blood flow going. And that kind of goes along with getting things off the to-do list. So that might be cleaning up part of the house, but usually I have call this person, set up this appointment, take this thing from this part of the house, the other part of the house, or whatever, just random little tasks on your to-do list. And for me, I truly feel the best if I pick the most annoying one. Not the most time consuming, but again, calling to set up an appointment is just something I push off every day, just because I don't want to deal with the, phone prompts and waiting on hold and all that. It just annoys me. So picking the task on your list that you find to be most annoying and getting that done, for me, is huge for feeling better and kind of getting in a nice groove, and that dopamine, as we're talking about, that makes you feel like you're doing something good. And then little by little, those things start to stack and you start to feel better and you start to feel more awake and motivated. The last kind of quick thing, I have this in two places, for this dopamine menu is saying a quick prayer if you are struggling, asking God for strength in that moment, and then ending with mindfulness and gratitude. So that's something that can be really quick. But I also have it later in the episode in more of a long form way. But prayer, faith, whatever that looks like for you, leaning on that, or if that's mindfulness, gratitude, again, whatever it is for you, but really meditating or praying, however you do it, quickly. It doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 5-10 minutes, and trying to practice some gratitude can make all the difference. As for entrees, so again, these are going to be the more time-consuming things or more full habits, if you will. So the first thing is trying to make balanced meals each week when I'm cooking for Justin and I. And I actually don't grocery shop in the store. And I think that's a huge way that we stick to our financial goals and not overspending. Just as a side note, I'd say we do at least 90% of our groceries as pickup orders. So it's easier to not miss sales in the apps. And it makes you think twice about, 1, do I really want to spend money on these things? 2, do we really need it? And 3, how much of my cart is nutritious foods versus the more fun, unhealthy foods. So that's something big for us, but I really do enjoy if I put together a nice meal for us that tastes good and it has, like, we're talking the basics, like vegetable, protein in it. I feel like I have won the gold medal. And, you have different seasonings and different ways of doing things to make them fun, different recipes. But if I have a balanced meal for us, I really feel like I am doing the most, and I'm so proud of myself. So trying to make that as frequently as possible of our week dinners, and then, you'll have leftovers for lunch, really makes a big difference. The more often that I'm on top of planning out meals and grocery shopping in a way where we're getting ingredients that we need, using up what we already have in the house, is pretty important to me. And on the topic of cooking, there's also baking. And you all know, I've talked about it enough, that I have been doing sourdough now for a couple months, at least, I think since August. I'm not sure exactly when I started, but probably back in August. And I love it. I will make bagels and bread pretty much to have every single week. And then I freeze it so it's more fresh when I just toast it in the toaster. But again, that's something I don't have to spend money on buying anymore. And it's a lot better for you than like white sandwich bread at the grocery store. And you know exactly where it comes from. And not only does it make you feel good eating it, but it's fun for me. It gives me a little project. It gives me a little something to take care of, because you have to feed the starter and kind of keep the bacteria in it alive. So it's all very fun to me. So I love my sourdough, and that's a time-consuming thing, a hobby that I do every single week. That has nothing to do with my phone. This is building on one of those appetizers, but creating a cozy, clean home. And that takes time. So that's why it's in the entree section. But curating your house to be something that you feel comfortable in, that's not overstimulating, that it's relaxing, that it makes you happy. And that's going to look different for every single person, what your style is, what your threshold for clean and tidy is going to be different. But figuring out a way between you and, if you live with roommates or a partner or a family, how that's going to look for divvying up tasks and staying on top of whatever your responsibilities are so that you can have a cozy and clean home is so important to me for feeling good. If things around me are a mess, whether I'm noticing it or not, it's contributing to stress I might be feeling. And this is such a Haley thing, but I love seasonal decorations now that we're in the fall. I mean, I can look around my house and I have a different wreath on the door, a different welcome mat. I've got different pumpkins around. And then once we got into October, I put up some of the more cute, spooky little ghosts and things around the house. I'm not into gory, scary Halloween. Like, I have little smiling ghosts in cute outfits. Like, that's the extent of my Halloween stuff. It is nothing spooky. That's not my scene. But I love seasonal decorations, and they really make me so happy. And I think it helps the year move along when you really get excited about different holidays and different seasons of the year. And it just gives you something to always be looking forward to, which I know you want to be living in the present, but I don't think there's anything wrong with also being excited for what's to come. Or by decorating seasonally, one could argue that that is really focusing on the moment and the present season and being excited about the season that you're in, aka fall right now. Like, I'm not thinking about Christmas decorations yet. I'm just enjoying my fall decorations. Another thing for me that this is so probably polarizing, you're either a night owl or you're a morning person. And I am certainly more of a morning person. So I love going to sleep early and waking up early. And obviously on the weekends when I'm in full control, I'm not still getting up at 5 a.m. Like, I have to do some work days if I'm going to work out before I go into the office. But I do naturally wake up probably before 9, even on the weekends, which is sleeping into me. Like, that was nice because I got an extra 2 hours of sleep. But I like to go just kind of on my natural body clock and not set an alarm if I don't have to on the weekends. But I really do like to go to bed reasonably early unless there's a special occasion and I'm visiting a friend and it's a birthday or it's a wedding or something like that and you're staying up really late. Obviously, I don't have to go to bed at a specific time, but if I'm home in my normal, typical night, typical weekend, work night, whatever it may be, going to sleep early and waking up early and being on a little bit of a routine there, I love it. And I just feel like my body is the most alert and ready to get work done in the mornings and early afternoons. So I really try to capitalize on that and wake up early enough that I can still enjoy my mornings and still, even after that, have time left to get work done. And that goes into the next thing I had listed under entrees is morning routines, including morning relaxation. So I am one, I could wake up 10 minutes before I have to leave, throw on my gym clothes and go to the gym and bring a bottled protein drink and call it breakfast. I could, or I could wake up 45 minutes before I have to leave, get dressed, make real food, breakfast, have time to sip on a coffee, and then go to the gym. And I know that if I'm not rushing through things, I'm going to feel a lot more at peace, a lot more relaxed, and I prefer to do real food over processed things as much as I can. So for me, having a longer morning routine and waking up earlier and having time to relax and not feel rushed is huge for me. So those kind of all go together with the sleeping and the waking up and the morning routines. And I actually had 2 solo episodes ago, so 4 episodes ago, a whole episode about my morning routine and different things I incorporate in there. So give that a listen if you haven't listened yet. And we talked about movement and stretching as quick things you can do, but of course, an actual full workout is the best thing you can do for your body's muscles and strength and longevity. So for me right now, my working out is just at a typical local gym. I really would like to get more committed towards a specific strength training plan because I just kind of willy-nilly show up and pat myself on the back for showing up, which is better than nothing. But I'm fully in, I don't even remember, what did they tell us in school? It's like if someone needs to make a change towards something, like they would teach us it with smoking cessation or something like that. But it's everything in life. It's psychology. It doesn't have to be something as dramatic as stopping a smoking habit, but starting to work out. I'm in the contemplation phase. I'm not in pre-contemplation because I can agree it's a good idea, but I have not yet taken any action beyond just going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes I do strength training. Sometimes I just do random cardio, and it's very all over the place, which again is better than nothing. And I'm glad I'm going and I'm in enough of a habit to at least show up. But I really would like to eventually commit to myself that I'm going to commit to a plan that I either pay for online or just download or whatever, where it's more consistent basis of what I'm doing each time that I go. And that would obviously push myself more in the different exercises that I'm doing to actually
become stronger and healthier. So we'll see when we get there. I used to do workout classes. I absolutely loved those as well. With being in Ann Arbor for dental school, there was a lot more options than where I am in rural Southwest Michigan, but we have a gym and I can make it work still. But if you have access to workout classes, those are the best. So give those a try if you haven't. You can check out the app ClassPass. They have a discount through the ADA, ASDA, if you're a dental student, so you could look at that. And I think when you sign up for the first time, you get a pretty good promotion as well. So that's something to look at. Basically, you can go to different workout studios without paying the full price for classes. They kind of like lease out their last couple spaces. That way they get some money on those empty chairs in class compared to not getting any money at all. So that's the whole spiel on workouts. But I think we all know that it's good for us to exercise. How well do we each of us do it is probably a unique answer for every single person. But we know it's good. We know it's going to make us feel better. Sometimes it sucks to go there or to get yourself in the door or to start doing the routine you're supposed to do that day. But I have never, ever, ever even left a workout, even the ones that maybe I felt a little sick because it was like a way too intense class for me. I still never regretted it because I know it's good for me. So I would say we all know that we don't regret working out, but it can be hard to do it. But this is another reminder that it's important to do. So if I was to do one of those appetizers of the quick reset walk, the most ideal is then to come home and do a non-phone hobby, non-scrolling activity. So for me, that's mostly reading, which I love my Kindle. And then I also got a big stack of books from one of my neighbors. She was selling soft covers for like $2 and hard covers for $5 or something. So I think I got like 8 books from her and I need to read all of those. So right now I'm reading a physical book because I picked one up from that stack. But other than that, I usually only do free books from the library downloaded on my Kindle. And I also do baking, as I mentioned. And then sometimes I get into a crafty era, or I'll do a project for something that I need that's fun for me, like the wedding stuff or house research, which literally is like, which shade of paint goes with this other shade of paint? Like it's 1,000 shades of white. That's literally my life right now. And it's kind of fun. I'm just trying to lean into it and enjoy it. Or if Justin's home, another fun thing to do that's not on your phone is we might do a board game. And also, I think if I'm ever feeling a little down, one of the best ways to distract myself and also cheer myself up is to phone a friend, phone a family member. Usually for friends, I'll FaceTime them, and then for my sister or my parents, I'll call them. But usually if I have nothing going on, I will talk to them for at least an hour because there's always so much to catch up on. But I also actually put this under sides. So if you are going for a walk, you could talk to your friend while you're on the walk. Or if you're cleaning up the house, you could talk to the friend or the family member while doing that. And that's a great way to double dose. You know, the sides are awesome because you can be doing something that's already good for you or that makes you happy, and then double up with extra happiness by talking to a friend or family member. Like, how great does that sound? Only a couple things left for entrees, then we'll go over those sides, some more of those pairings, and then we'll finish with the specials. So local events or anything free to get out of the house is also something that I like to continue to do more of. For example, last weekend, we went to the little fall festival in our town. It was mostly geared towards children activities, and we don't have any kids at this point, but it was still fun to just show up, walk around, see all the excitement, see what the town was up to, and different free events that your town is doing. I literally find them in the town newspaper that gets mailed to us, and I'm also in Facebook groups for our town and for my neighborhood. And there's not much going on in the app next door for my area, but that's something that you could use as well, depending where you live. That might have more stuff than maybe if there isn't a Facebook group or something. But finding events, I find a lot on Facebook, like I said, different, literally like the events tab, like different right now, farmers markets, apple orchards, things might be hosting extra events for fall, or there might be concerts at local breweries or restaurants, or like a trivia night, just anything like that to kind of get out of the house and do different activities. Or you could go to a local park and walk around, or play pickleball, play basketball, kick a soccer ball around, literally anything that you used to do when you were younger and a kid and life seems so simple, like do childlike activities again. Who's stopping you? And I've already mentioned it as appetizer, but long form prayer, meditation, gratitude, whatever that looks like for you, is of course really, really important for wellness and self-care. So I couldn't leave that off the list. And then this, for some people, is probably a special, but recently I have allowed myself to make this a routine thing, and that is getting a massage every single month. I would call it like a medical massage. It's kind of comfortable and relaxing, but it's also kind of painful because I tell her to really go in on the areas of tension. And when she hits those areas, yeah, it kind of hurts the whole time, but that means that they need to be done. So I would call mine almost like a medical massage. So it's not literally sitting there being pampered. I'm doing it for wellness, for longevity in my career, but it's of course a nice treat and something I'm grateful to be able to afford to do. And as for specials, these are things that personally I do not do on a regular basis. So I feel like we, and myself, and then individually with my friends or trips with Justin, travel a decent amount, but not as much as other people I know. So just having trips booked to look forward to and travel to look forward to, of course, can be something really nice if you're feeling a little mundane or just kind of sick of your routine, or just really need a day off of work beyond your normal days off, like a more week off of work or an extra couple shifts that you don't show up. Having travel booked is really nice. Another thing that I enjoy doing, but I don't do it a lot because it costs money, is shopping. I probably shop once per season on average, I would say, maybe even only 3 times a year. And this is for clothes specifically. So we recently did an Old Navy order, Justin and I love Old Navy, and I really only ever shop for clothes when there's a big sale going on. But for example, recently I got a jumpsuit, 2 jackets, a shirt, and he got 2 pairs of pants, and it was like just over $100 because Old Navy's the best. But shopping, I do really enjoy it, and it's really nice to have something new in your wardrobe that maybe you'd been wanting for a while and you'd been saving up for, or waiting for something to go on sale. Once you actually get it, is really gratifying. And I think it's much better to plan your spending when it comes to shopping items rather than just buying things on a whim, because you really appreciate it more if it's something that you really wanted and had been eyeing for a long time. And then lastly, we'll circle back to the side. So again, these are things that you can just pair in with when you're doing a long form thing or a quick thing. So having your whole day trying to get your mind back towards gratitude, I think overarchingly of anything we talk about in this episode, is really the biggest thing that's going to affect how you feel day to day, is gratitude in your mindset. Instead of I have to go to the gym, it's I get to go to the gym. I have to go to work, I get to go to work. Things like that make a huge difference. And for me then, if I'm at home doing a task, lighting a candle makes a big difference. Opening the windows, fresh air. Similarly, if I'm maybe driving to the gym or driving to work or whatever, I try to put the windows down while I'm driving if the weather allows. Like getting fresh air while you're doing a task is awesome and a great easy pairing that takes no effort on your part other than opening the window. I already mentioned calling a friend while you're doing something, and then obviously having different playlists for different moods or seasons, or listening to a podcast that you like is another great way to double down on the good vibes and the happiness. So that's everything for our dopamine menu episode. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope it gave you some ideas of maybe things you haven't done in a little bit that you want to try out to make this fall season a little more fun and happy for yourself. Next week, we'll be back with another guest, so I can't wait to share that all with you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.